So hi, welcome to your Noise Podcast. I'm Shane,
I'm Glory.
and we're here with,
Paul Michael of Record Heat.
and we're asking some questions today. I'm going to start. So what inspired the creation of the band, and what does the band name mean?
Well, me and Steve, the singer, we are super old friends. We knew each other like right out of college, and we used to live together. We were like roommates for a hot second. Let's see, we just like so Steve at that time was doing production work and more into like the sort of the hip hop world at that point,
okay.
you know? Yeah. He was like, he was a kid. He grew up and just he didn't listen to rock music at all. Like until like we were roommates basically. He was like a hip hop kid, only listened to like like rap, and I was like in hardcore bands and punk bands.
Yeah.
But we worked together at like this restaurant, like we were like servers. And so we're like, well, that's cool. Let's hang out. We'll be roommates. We'll make a bunch of music. So we just sat around. We had this like little one bedroom, and he lived in the living room, and I lived in the bedroom, and we had our little computer setups. And he would like make his beats, and then I would like play like bass or like guitar or whatever he needed on his beats, and then he would come in and show me how to like, make a song on the computer because I had no clue at that point, So that's kind of how like the inception was. But we weren't actually in a band together for a while after that. He like moved to LA, tried to be like a rapper producer kind of guy. Like it was just like he was just like having fun out in LA. And then he was like, I really want to start a band. Everyone here in LA flakes. So he came back to we were living in DC at the time.
Okay.
And so that's basically like we came back. He was like, I want to make a band, and he was like, okay. And I had been in like a bunch of bands and been touring and stuff like that. And I was like, I want to be in a band with Steve because he's like one of my oldest, bestest friends,
Yeah.
And so we started a band. We were in our friend Manny's like basement, did a bunch of recordings, and then basically just kind of snowballed from there. Like Manny, who was our original guitarist, was like, I don't want to be in a rock band. I want to like produce like orchestral music.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was funny. So, but he was like, check us out. I got this other guitarist who's like a rock guitarist, and then Cal, our guitarist, came in, and it was like a perfect fit. He's like awesome and worked out. And then Cal was like, because we had an initial drummer, was like, okay, I have this other drummer, and then kind of all snowballed. So that's the impetus. I don't know if that actually answered the question. I forgot what the question was. I just started talking about
that answered the question more than most people do.
Yeah. And then the band name.
Oh, the band name, Record Heat.
Yes.
So this is a change. We spent most of our time as another band called Spirit Animal, which is we realized kind of like a while like several years ago. I was like, you know what? I mean, it comes from a very special place. Like obviously we loved the name and stuff like that, but we were four white dudes kind of appropriating a Native American sort of. It wasn't explicitly. I mean, it's not explicitly Native American. There's a whole bunch of whatever. But it was definitely like the more we thought about it, especially me, I got more uncomfortable. I became about using an appropriative name.
Yeah.
But we were in the middle of like a couple record deals. We had gotten signed to Spirit Animal, and so we had to keep the name for a little while longer. And then we got dropped from Atlantic, off the major label we were on, which is actually good because major labels suck.
So I've heard.
But like it was a great experience, a great learning experience. We made some great music, met some great people, all sorts of things. But it was kind of awesome once we got dropped. We were like, sweet, now we're Record Heat.
Exactly.
And like because we can finally like we weren't like obligated, like it wasn't a whole bunch of paperwork anymore. We were like, cool, just do it, done and done. And we picked Record Heat. It's a short story. It's like it was literally like, most band names take like forever to think about, whatever, and so, but me and Cal and Steve were in a van, and we were like driving back from somewhere, and we were like, okay, we have to pick up a name. We have some time here. Let's do that. And I'm like driving, and Steve's like, well, okay, let me go to the lyric sheet. So we have like this Google Doc that is literally like anything we think of over the course of the years we've been in a van together, we'll stick on this Google Doc, like any cool lyric
Oh,
name, like
wow.
lyrics, or like, think of something cool or something funny. And Steve just goes to the Google Doc in the back seat. He's got Wi-Fi, and he checks up. And he's like, how about this? And we're like, nah. He's like, how about Record Heat? And we all like start laughing because it's fucking awesome. It sounds cool, And
does,
so we're like,
yeah.
we're like, oh, that's awesome. And we all started laughing and kind of looked at each other. And we're like, done. It was like literally that fast. It was like
Oh,
that.
okay.
That was it. Because we all kind of like, I don't know. Cal's an English guy, like a writer. Like Steve's like super smart. So like the whole like Record Heat, like like this record's got heat, like like it's all it's fire, whatever, all that sort of stuff. It's kind of cool. It's funny, but also like Record Heat in the whole global warming sense, which is something. I mean, Steve and I are super political people, always on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, trying to like get our relatives angry. So that's
Yeah, that's always the goal.
yeah. Actually, I don't get my relatives angry anymore on Facebook because they all blocked me.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Good, except for my like mom,
Oh, of course,
which,
yeah.
which is cool. But yeah, like all my very conservative aunts and uncles and stuff like that do not follow me. They're not there for the socialist commentary.
Yeah.
So what can you do? Anyway, so we like the two, like the double entendre
Definitely.
kind of thing. So,
That's
yeah.
sick. All right. Yeah, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, global warming. But now that you say, oh, record is heat, record's fire, I'm like, oh, that is cool. It's a two sides thing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we try to keep it deep, or at least like 2 layers.
Yeah. It's fine.
so not shallow, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So congratulations on your newest EP, One.
Thank you. Yep.
Of course. How do you feel about the response to it so far?
It's been great. We have a loving and adoring fan base, still called the Spanimals, so still kind of a nod to the old name, but
Yeah.
who, I guess we toured so much that we would see them all the time, right? Like we would like, there are people to come out to like 5 shows in a row, or like like be on basically half the tour with us, kind of like like following us around, and so we became like really good friends with them, and it's funny because like a lot of like bands have fans that are like standoffish, or like like, ooh, like too cool, like we're too cool for school or something like that, but our fans are basically like just hang out with us all the time.
Oh.
So they'll tell us what they think. They'll be like, we play a new song on the show, they'll be like, oh, that's bad. Like,
Oh no.
Scrap that. Get that out of here.
I didn't like that as much. I mean, don't say it's bad, but it's like I didn't like that as much as the other one. You know what? Look, this is kind of weird. Or like, so we have very honest fans, and so whenever we put out new music, it's like a, we respect their opinions and stuff like that, and everyone has come back like super super stoked on the new stuff. So where it's kind of like it's the same vein a little bit, but it's like an evolution in how we are producing and the lyric content and stuff like that. So every time we like are trying to move forward with it, and so people are moving forward with us. It's great.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So what made you guys choose Nathan as the lead single for the EP?
I don't know. It's like I'm the bass player, man. I don't know. And so like that was a fun song. We did that with Mike Del Rio of the band Powers. And I think I can't remember the exact conversations we had about like why it was first. I think it's like a big song. It has like the sort of like the duality thing that we kind of like it's kind of our signature, like where it's both electro and very rock at the same time,
Yeah.
And so we like that, it's like the 21 Pilots kind of thing, like where it's just like like it's genreless, like we like to like dip our feet into pretty much anything. So we felt, since it was a rebirth of the band name, I guess, and so kind of the band too, because we lost our drummer, our previous drummer, which is good actually, because it's a better sort of like flow now.
Yeah.
So I think it just kind of was like, just like a big hard hitting, something we're really proud of, and all of us had worked really hard on, and we were just like, this is the one, that kind of like feels like the thing to lead off with, put our foot forward with, so.
Okay, so you just knew.
Yeah, I mean, like you kind of, we had separated out into like, because we have another EP coming,
Okay.
Which we're still in the process of naming. I don't think we're going to name it 2.
Come on, that was my next question. Come on.
It's all right. I can still talk. Don't worry. I'll fill up the space. So we're in the process of naming it. And so, but we had realized that like we had, I mean, we always have songs. Again, like the Google Doc, we also have like a Dropbox of just like unfinished songs. We have probably like 50 songs just in there, just kind of like sitting around. What was I saying? So we were able to be like, okay, so these 3, we want to put these 3 first because they're kind of like of the new batch, the things that it'd be a great segue. They seem like they fit in this, sort of evolution.
Yeah.
And the next 3 are another 3 we're really proud of, but they kind of like all relate to each other in a way. So it made sense to kind of like put them into like different groupings. And so that's how we were like, okay, these 3 first. And then from there, it's just a 3. And you're like, that one, So,
yeah. Wait, so are you going to pull like a Hayley Williams and just release like a bunch of EPs and then kind of put it together as an album?
I think it's kind of where we are right now. We realized, I mean, I've been around for a little bit. Like the music, well, not this long, but like music back in the day was all singles, right? Like in the 1950s, that sort of 60s, whatever. Like until, the Beatles always like just really singles. And then it wasn't until like the late 60s, and 70s where you have all this, the album became like the preeminent format.
Yeah. And
what's happening now is basically a sort of reversion to that norm from back in the 50s, 60s or early 60s, of like singles being the thing. And I kind of, I don't know if it's just because of my like Twitter usage or ADD or whatever it is. Like I kind of like just having these sort of like spurts of creativity, information, I kind of like that sort of method because instead of like being like, oh, all this work and you have to kind of like be creative and then do this thing and record and, mix and all this sort of stuff. And then you go out for 2 years on the same material. This way, it's kind of like a constant sort of state of creation, performance, gestation, whatever sort of stuff. So I think I like this format better. And so I know we're going to put on we're going to put out 3 EPs, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I think that's kind of like the near future stuff. I don't even know if we're going to call it an album at the end of it. I think it's just like, the EPs are the EPs. They're out there, they're the thing, So okay. That's just going to be how it is.
That's fair. All right. So is there any meaning behind the EP name or cover art? And you kind of already answered my question, but will you ever put out a 2, 3, 4, or is it just 1?
Actually, so that's that's the name. 2, 3, 4 was like my suggestion for this next EP.
Yeah. Calling one.
Well, no, there's 1 and then 2, 3, 4.
2, 3, 4. Oh my God.
2, 3, 4. Duh. It's so that's kind of, I thought was kind of funny, but I guess not really if I have to explain it. So.
Oh no, I didn't have a visual, but when you explained it, I understand. That'd be sick. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, or calling it 2TO or TOO. I don't know, something where it's not just like the linear expected thing. But shoot, now I lost the train of thought. 1. Obviously 1 because it's sort of the rebirth. So this we kind of consider this our first album as this band. So that they made sense, The art is kind of funny because we're not like crypto nerds at all or anything like that, We're not. But Steve was, kind of going out. We love the artwork, and my brain is so bad. I don't know what the name of the artist is right now. I should, but I don't. But he was working with our artist that made the EP cover, and realized it looks so friggin' cool because it's got like this like weird it's got the number and our name in this like Utah desert landscape thing. And so we were like, cool. And we were doing this like last year and we're like, we'll make an NFT because we're the first ones to ever do it. And then segue to like this year. And we're still trying to struggle through it. And then all of a sudden, like, not only are we like the last ones to do an NFT, by the time we put the NFT out, it's kind of like, whatever, it's passe, but it looks so cool. And so it wasn't necessarily our intention to do like crypto art, but we were like, oh, this is cool. And we had a blast doing it. And the artwork's great, and we love the artwork. So, but yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's my ramble on that.
Because we're talking about it now, I wanted to ask, did you guys get any backlash for releasing an NFT? And why did you release? Was it just because like, oh, let's just do it? Or was there anything behind that?
So this thing too, like it was kind of like a weird, because like it wasn't until like we were most way through the process, we just like we're like, duh, this takes up so much friggin' bandwidth, and it is not energy efficient in any sort of way. And that's kind of the thing. Like we kind of were like, ugh, crap. But we didn't tour at all last year. So I like to think that like the energy offset of our van, putting 150,000 miles on it versus, like the NFT, maybe we, there's still a, good offset on that.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a rationalization, like it's, I wish and I hope that world becomes more environmentally conscious and efficient, obviously, as with everything. I do like the idea, as someone who remembers, a CD. I like the idea of creating an art and having a product from that art, even if it is digital. It is, like there's something about like owning. People still love to buy LPs because like they like albums, they like the physical thing, People still buy books, stuff like that. So like, it's since streaming is basically ubiquitous, it's hard to kind of like. I like the idea of, readdressing the desire to have something of your own, something connects you with the band, with the artist, that is a product and a thing that is yours,
Yeah.
So I do like that a ton about NFTs. I think that's really cool, a really cool part of it. Downside is, it burns up the world, and islands are going underwater. So like, like it's like, it's, they're not the same. I guess not the equivalent, but it's something you have to fight with. Like, every decision though, that's the thing too. Like, that's the part about being political, being like whatever. Like, and it's not that every decision you make is right. And Lord knows we've made some wrong decisions. Lord knows I have. It's that like, it's growth. It's, trying to be better the next time around, every day further, So like, I hope we learned from that experience. We are grateful for that experience having been done. And I think we're aware of the pitfalls now in a way we weren't before, which is also good. It's growth. We call it growth.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's fair.
So can you tell me a little bit about your writing process for this EP?
Oh yeah. So these are all songs we'd like done all the songs with for the Atlantic record, and we had met all these people out in LA. And we decided on our own dime to go back out to LA and like hang out with these people and like and do a bunch of like just writing sessions just for fun. We had nothing sort of, we were still touring a ton. We had no particular reason to do it. We were just like, let's just go out to LA, have fun, and do some writing sessions. And so like the first one was actually the first one might have been Sir Nolan with what am I saying? What's the last one? Network. So I think that one was the earliest one, and we did it was like just super fun. So Sir Nolan and us, and for these sessions we basically just went in, and it's kind of weird. These LA sessions are super weird because they're basically just like you meet someone for the first time, and you sit down, and your whole thing is like write a song, It's like you're like on the spot. And you're like you're write a song, And so we sit down, and everyone has their own kind of like process, and so like he's got this really nice studio, and so like we're basically sitting there, and he's like futzing through some stuff, and we're like, oh, it's kind of cool. It's like he had this kind of super weird, not weird. It was like kind of almost like retro beat for that one, and so for this one, so he like kind of put it in, and then I was like, cool. No one else was doing anything, so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna put a bass line on it. And so we were like futzing around, and then the bass line came, and that's kind of one of the biggest drivers of that song is kind of that like cool bass line.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, cool. And so he like went around, put a bunch of like electronic things on it. Then I got real high, and basically spent the rest of that session not saying a word.
Wow. Yeah.
And then Coop and Cal, Steve Steve Cooper. So if I say Coop or Steve, it's the same person.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, Coop and Cal, like they both like then they took over, and so Steve like ended up like he does this thing where he like gets he's like super smart, right? So he like gets really intense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was actually higher than I was, but is more functional. And so like he's really intense, and he goes through his whole thing, and it's like and he has this thing where like we'll all like chip in for lyrics or like melody ideas, and he'll be like, no, we can beat that. And so so he's like he keeps doing that until finally he's like comfortable singing with the words, and then he'll do like a take. So that was basically our day. It was just Steve like pacing, me barely conscious, Cal, playing guitar parts and trying to keep Coop focused, and then that was that thing. So that was fun. But that's that kind of thing. So the Del Rio session for Nathan was kind of the same way. But every once in a while, we haven't done the writing in a room in a while. Mm-hmm. Like we don't like as a band with our instruments jam.
Yeah.
We haven't done that, and Lord knows when the last time we did that.
That's fair.
Yeah, so we rehearse, but like before we go out on tour and stuff. But like for the most part, I'm on my computer doing production work. Steve's on his computer doing like production work, and then we'll have something, like the beginnings of something, and it's usually Steve and Cal do the melody and lyrics. Mm-hmm. So they're usually on that. Cal's like a really good top liner. His melodies are awesome. Mm-hmm. And Steve is so like, he has to sing the thing. So it makes sense for him to like, be okay with singing those words,
Yeah.
So he and he's like, I don't know, his mind just works that way. I'm better just like doing production work and writing music parts. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how we delegate. So that's
solid. Can you tell me where your headspace was while creating the EP?
Like those 3 songs were done over the course of a year. So like, it's kind of like like for each particular session, it's whatever. I think I told you where my headspace was on that one, on network.
Yeah.
But each one's kind of different. And like of course a year. And so I think this one, there is some concurrent, whatever the topic is sort of like the same for all 3 of them, and they tend to be like we were touring a ton, poor as hell, having to deal with a bunch of like label bullshit. I can curse on this podcast, is that correct? Because I am trying to not curse, but I feel like I'm cursing a lot.
You can curse.
Fuck yeah. So like so we were dealing with a lot of label bullshit. We basically just like I think, and spending so much time in a van together mm-hmm. is good and bad. It's good because you become like family and like brothers. It's bad because you can now yell at the person like he's your brother. It's a whole. It was like a whole bunch of like a. We were very emotional, and going through a ton of stuff, and so I think more so than anything else, because we're not necessarily like. Or Steve isn't necessarily from stuff I do on my own, my solo stuff and stuff like that. It's definitely very emotional. But Steve, like the way his writing style is more generalized. It's more like a universal, sort of concepts and stuff like that. But for the first time in our career as a band, Steve was writing more personally, and writing about basically our frustrations. Just being, trapped in a van together and having to deal with all this sort of stuff, and like, having people back home that you missed, and having things turn out the way you wanted to, and then not turn out the way you wanted to at the same time, sort of stuff. So we, it's not like I'm not gonna complain about the opportunities we were given, because we got like a lot of opportunities. We were able to tour with big bands. We were able to like like hang out, have a good time, make a little money, like or not be dead poor like we were, in the early tours. But like it was there were good things about it, but it's just a lot of emotional baggage and weight when you do as much as we did in the time that we did it. So
Yeah.
it's good for Steve, especially to like have the outlet of these songs being a personal sort of way to communicate some of these frustrations, and also like it's cathartic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You get to do this creative stuff. You get to be, a little ragey, a little emotional, on in the studio, and it helps like sort of center you and make clear what you didn't necessarily have clear before. So
Yeah.
That's
Makes
awesome.
sense.
So what band or artist influence do you think you can hear the most on this EP?
oh shit. So well, here's the thing about this band,
Okay.
right? Is that like I'm like I came from punk and hardcore, and I listened to a lot of like indie pop and like synthwave and stuff like that, and like, and Steve comes from hip hop, and like I don't think he doesn't listen to anything that's more than 6 months old.
Oh,
Like
okay.
yeah, he's like future focused oriented at all times.
Yeah.
And Cal, I think he is like like songwriting centric. So his favorites are like the Beatles or Tom Petty or the Eagles, or like David Rodriguez and a bunch of like alt country and country people, and like so like we have very disparate
Yeah.
influences and tastes, right? Like
Yeah.
so the idea that we can all like exist together in the same space and actually create is of itself
a miracle.
a miracle.
Yeah,
Yes,
really.
exactly. So that's that's pretty much it. So like so when you talk about like influences for any sort of specific piece, like they're pretty much all over. I mean, like because Steve is a huge. I mean, he does production work for other artists and stuff like that too. So he like, I mean, he's constantly on that tip of like learning new stuff. Like what's the new Logic plug in? Where can I find new sounds online?
Yeah.
Like how can I upgrade my Splice account? And shit like that. And like I'm like, and I like nerd out on YouTube videos about how to make like your sound more vintage and authentic, and like
Yeah.
how to do some weird shit like that. Like, and so it's like you hear what you want to hear, and the fact of the matter is that you're probably right. Like if you're like, oh, I hear this band on there, or I hear this artist on there. Like, yeah, you probably do.
Yeah.
Well, one of the three of us definitely listen to that artist. So and I think that's kind of it. I mean, like, it's just a fun process, because by the end of the day, like, we all three in our different ways love songwriting. And so it's funny because you can make a song out of three different directions and still come up with something that's like coherent. Because songwriting, I think fundamentally good songwriting is good songwriting. And I hope that comes through in what we do too. But like, that's the process,
Yeah.
So
Solid. All right. So this one should be super, super fast. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this EP for new listeners in 3 words.
Frenetic, energetic.
Come on.
Are you gonna get another ick?
I'm trying to.
Mm-hmm.
Frenetic, energetic.
He's choking. He's choking. He's choking.
I am choking. I mean, because the only thing I can think of is spastic, and it's not spastic. Although
Okay.
sometimes it's spastic. I'm just gonna say pop. So frenetic,
Pop.
energetic.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
There you go.
Alright.
So,
That
I know.
works, though.
I was so excited.
You really let
I was
us down
so
there, but it's
excited.
okay.
God.
I wish. Oh Christ! Now I'm gonna come up with a perfect 3-word thing.
You'll DM us on Twitter later and you'll be like, here's the 3-letter thing.
This is it.
I fucking got it. It's like all
Can we
my
do it over again?
Yeah. All my arguments in high school, same deal. Like a week later,
Literally.
like, oh, I know exactly what to say to that guy.
Really would have gotten there. So this question should be like in that same train of thought. Is there a certain feeling you want your listeners to have while going through the EP?
I think I like the word joy. Not necessarily that they should be like happy, but it should make you feel upbeat, like the whole, not necessarily like feel good, smile more. It's like more like like it's the capacity to feel energized and get up and move. Um, and I think there is an optimism, even with like the content, that we're dealing with and stuff like that. There's still sort of a sense of being able to overcome it. And I think that's true about all of our, our own personal ethics as well, is that we are all in our heart like romantics and optimists, and we believe that it's going to be okay. So joy.
Okay.
Oh, that was
Adorable.
very wholesome. I like that a lot.
Shit just got really serious there for a
Yeah.
second.
It's like I told you about smoking weed and being. So hopefully this,
Complete left turn.
Trying to do both.
Giving me whiplash over here. God damn.
So where do you see the band in the next 5 years?
I mean, trucking. We hopefully will make more music, play more shows. That's all I care about, really. Being able to do that and being able to do it and pay rent. So that's the life.
Definitely.
For sure. So for the last couple questions, we're actually shift away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
I was gonna say the record label, because
everybody says that.
They say that.
No.
Yeah. Sorry, what would be my last drink?
Last meal with a drink.
Last meal with a drink. So my desert island meal. So I guess this would probably be my last meal anyway. It's just a burrito. I love burritos.
Ooh.
Like but like carnitas, especially a big old like California style carnitas burrito. That would be the meal. Okay. The drink would be a Negroni.
What is that?
It is equal parts gin, sweet vermouth, and Campari. It is delicious.
I didn't know if that was like a beer or something. I was like,
no. It is a cocktail. It's a very, very delicious aperitivo.
Interesting. All right. Sounds good. I've never had alcohol, but I'm sure it's good. So if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Fictional world. Ooh.
World, yeah.
I'm okay being like a geek here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's gonna be a fictional universe, and it's probably gonna be The Expanse.
Oh, I don't think I've heard of that.
It's a book series. There's a TV show now. It's sci-fi. It's for nerds, but it's cool because it's like a fully realized world where it's not like just like utopian. It's like it's gritty and and there's still the same sort of like it's like it still deals with like I always loved sci-fi, not necessarily like Octavia Butler and stuff like that. Yeah, no, I always get Octavia Spencer and Butler confused. Octavia Butler, because it's a great way to do big issues, but apart from you, right? So
yeah,
Octavia Butler used to does a ton of she started writing way back when, and then her whole thing is like taking racism, especially racism in the U.S., and then like taking all the things, but then making aliens be the people that are being oppressed, it's a way to make something that's big and serious and remove it from you to look at it objectively, right? So all those issues that we have here about shit, we have so many, it's sometimes cool to see them outside of the personal, and so you can kind of be like, okay, this is it's a universal truth, and these things are self-evident, and duh, you'd want that to be corrected, regardless of whatever. So it's kind of I don't know. I love sci-fi for that. It's there's a undercurrent of utopianism and intellectual curiosity, and also just hitting the big themes, but in a cool way with lasers.
Exactly. Yeah. Only in a cool way.
So I have the honor of asking the last question, and every single person we've spoken to has said that it is the most important question.
Oh my god.
Oh, geez.
What
All right.
is your favorite color?
Oh, orange. Easy.
Specific shade of orange?
Something not too Halloweeny.
Okay.
You know, I don't like a bright orange. And never wear orange and black, kids. Never wear orange and black. It's like you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
You're calling out Glory here.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're calling me out right now. Okay.
Wait, no, is that? Oh no, but that's different. No, I'm saying like
Yeah.
like a full orange hoodie
Oh,
and
yeah,
like
yeah,
black
yeah.
pants. It's fine to have orange on something. You're doing fine. It's
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're doing great, actually. Love it.
Thank you.
Got this
Love it,
fashion
love
thing down to a science, Glory. So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that anything that you would like to plug? Not you guys.
Oh yeah. I mean, we'll always plug I'll plug the nice thing first. Spanimals, our listeners, our fans are always amazing human beings. So I always like to give a shout out to them because they are the best humans ever. Two, I'll just plug all the web presence stuff, socials. Record Heat US is how you find us. So recordheat.us or Record Heat US on everything. So always look for the recordheat.us or Record Heat US on your major socials, except for Facebook, because Facebook won't let us change the name because Facebook is obviously evil. So Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. I don't think we're on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Twitter definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think we need to get the band a job.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
All right. Well, thank you for sitting down. This has been Paul from Record Heat, and we're the Good Noise podcast.